Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, today we're tackling some pretty dense historical material, but our mission, as always, is to give you a clear path through it. We are diving deep into the life, the teachings, and really the global relevance of Bahá'u'lláh, the founder of the Bahá'í Faith.
Yeah, and it's compelling stuff.
It really is. I mean, the sheer scope of the vision here. It's not just theology, it's this message of unity, love, and, well, a blueprint for world peace.
Exactly. And for you listening, this is important because Baha'u'llah's ideas, they directly tackle some of the biggest divisions we see today. Race, nationality, creed, all of it. We're going to explore why these teachings aren't just, nice moral ideas, but are presented as actual necessities for a kind of radical global change.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the man himself. His birth name was Mirza Hussein Ali Nuri, born 1817, Tehran, Persia, modern-day Iran. And he wasn't just anybody. He came from a noble family, really the height of privilege back then, which makes his later life quite a contrast.
A huge contrast. The title he eventually took, Baha'u'lláh, it means the glory of God. But even before his big spiritual turning point, sources say his character stood out. Deep compassion, especially for the poor, a real sense of justice. He apparently often used his position to stand up for people who were oppressed.
So already kind of pushing against the grain, but the real catalyst, the moment everything changed, was his connection with the Bab, right?
Yes, the Bab, a figure who was himself proclaiming a new spiritual age was coming, a really revolutionary message for the time.
And getting involved with the Bab, that came at a huge cost.
Oh, absolutely. Everything. Persecution, prison, eventually forced exile. The sources are clear. Embracing the Bab's message meant losing wealth, status, freedom. His first major imprisonment was in Tehran's Siachal, the Black Pit, a truly terrible place. And it was apparently there, in those awful conditions, that Baha'u'lláh said he first received the intimations of his own divine mission.
And that kicked off decades of exile. It wasn't just one move. He was pushed from Tehran to Baghdad.
Right. Then on to Constantinople, Adrianople.
And finally, ending up in the penal colony of Acre, which is now in Israel. That journey itself seems central to the story.
It absolutely is. Each stage was meant to break him, to silence the message. Baghdad is where he first publicly declared his mission, around 1863. Then Constantinople, Adrianople, further and further away. But instead of silencing him, these places became where he revealed his most important writings. It's where the foundation of the Bahá'í Faith was really laid down in text.
Incredible. So the attempt to isolate him actually helps spread the message through his writings.
In a way, yes. The persecution solidified the mission. He passed away in 1892, still technically a prisoner near Acre.
It underscores how threatening the authorities must have found his message, not just spiritual, but maybe politically destabilizing too.
They definitely saw the implications. A message of global unity inherently challenges power structures built on division. He endured immense suffering, but his writings, the core of the faith, were established.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's pivot from the life story to the teachings themselves. The central idea, as you said, is unity. Unity of God, unity of religion, unity of humanity.
That's the bedrock. We can break it down into those three unities. First, the oneness of God. Pretty straightforward concept. There's only one ultimate divine source, whether called God, Allah, Yahweh, Brahman. It's the same underlying reality.
Okay, one God, which logically leads to the second one, the unity of religion. This is where it gets more complex, I think.
Yeah.
The teachings recognize figures like Abraham, Moses, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, the Bab, saying they all come from that same divine source. So does that mean the Baha'i Faith is sort of blending all religions together, like syncretism?
That's a really common question and a crucial distinction. No, it's not syncretism in the sense of just mashing everything together. The concept is called progressive revelation. Think of it like one single divine book, but revealed chapter by chapter throughout history. Each prophet or manifestation of God brings a new chapter suited for humanity's capacity and needs at that specific time.
So like updates tailored for the era.
Exactly. The core spiritual truths, love, justice, compassion, remain constant. But the social laws, the rituals, they might change because society changes, matures. It allows for affirming the truth in past religions without being bound by outdated social codes.
That makes sense. It's not blending, it's unfolding. A progression.
Precisely. It respects the past while providing guidance for the present and future.
Which brings us logically to the third unity, the oneness of humanity. If God is one, and the divine message is essentially one unfolding truth, then humanity must also be one family.
And this is where the teachings become maybe the most socially radical, especially for the 19th century, but even now. If humanity is fundamentally one, then all the divisions we cling to, race, nation, class, even creed to some extent, are described as secondary, illusions almost, things that shouldn't break our essential unity.
So, moving beyond the philosophy, how did Baha'u'lláh see this unity playing out practically? What are the pillars for building this kind of global society?
Right, the teachings offer very clear social principles. A key one, especially radical for its time, is the equality of men and women. Baha'u'lláh stated explicitly that humanity is like a bird with two wings, one male, one female. The bird can't fly properly unless both wings are equally strong. Full stop.
That's a powerful image, and a direct challenge to centuries of patriarchy.
Absolutely. It links women's equality directly to achieving world peace and progress. True civilization isn't possible without it.
Okay, what else? There's often this perceived conflict between faith and reason. How do the teachings address that?
Through the principle of the harmony of science and religion, they're seen as complementary paths to truth, not enemies. Again, the two wings metaphor is often used here. If science and religion appear to conflict, the Baha'i view is that either our scientific understanding is incomplete, or maybe more often, our religious interpretation has become rigid, dogmatic, maybe even superstitious.
So reason is essential. You can't just have blind faith.
Exactly. True religion shouldn't contradict reason or establish scientific fact. Faith needs reason to avoid superstition, and science needs, perhaps, a moral or spiritual framework to avoid materialism. Both wings need to be strong for humanity to soar.
And underpinning both equality and this harmony seems to be education.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Universal education and justice are fundamental. Ignorance is identified as a major root cause of prejudice and conflict. So, universal compulsory education is seen as a basic necessity, and education empowers justice. When people understand each other, understand the world, it allows for compassion and fairness to guide interactions, both individually and collectively.
Which then enables the really big picture idea, world peace and global governance. This sounds huge, almost utopian to some.
It's ambitious, for sure. Baha'u'lláh envisioned a future world federation, a system to basically make war obsolete.
How would that work? Does it mean erasing nations? Giving up sovereignty? That's often the fear with global governance.
The sources suggest it's not about erasing national identity or culture. It's more about nations voluntarily agreeing to pool certain aspects of sovereignty into a collective system for security and dispute resolution. Think of a world legislature, an international court with binding authority, and a collective security force to enforce its decisions. Nations would function like organs in a body, distinct, vital, but all working for the health of the whole planet.
So maintaining diversity, but within a unified framework for peace. It's a shift from competitive nationalism to cooperative globalism.
A profound shift, yes. It requires expanding our loyalty from just our nation to the entire human race.
So the ultimate goal isn't just believing these things, is it? It's about action, transformation.
Absolutely. The emphasis is very much on living the teachings. It's about spiritual transformation leading to practical service to humanity. It's not passive belief, it's active building.
And if you had to boil down this entire vision into one sentence, the most famous one is probably,
"The earth is but one country, and mankind its citizens." That quote really captures the essence.
and this isn't just an abstract idea. The Bahá'í Faith today is incredibly widespread, right?
It is. It's established in nearly every country and territory on Earth, one of the most geographically diverse religions.
And the focus seems very grassroots, people working in their own communities.
Yes, the emphasis is often on local initiatives, things like study circles, devotional gatherings, children's classes, projects promoting education, equality, social harmony, environmental action, trying to translate those big principles into tangible, local reality.
Which feels especially relevant now, doesn't it, in our current climate of division and conflict?
Very much so. In a world struggling with nationalism, prejudice, war, this message offers a compelling, if challenging, alternative framework, a call to rise above those divisions.
So what does this all mean? When you boil it down, Baha'u'lláh endured decades of hardship, of exile, of imprisonment, essentially for this core conviction that humanity isn't just like one family, but can and must become one unified family in reality, structurally, spiritually, administratively.
Right. Unity isn't presented as just a nice dream. It's framed as humanity's destiny, an inevitable stage in our collective evolution. And spiritual truth isn't just for believing, it's for living, for building a just world.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought to consider. If Baha'u'llah's teachings assert that our differences, race, nationality, creed, are ultimately secondary, even illusory barriers, What's one tangible thing, however small, that you could do today to actually live out that truth, the truth that the earth is but one country?